do have some inner tie rod play.
Okay.
I would say let's replace that first before doing the alignment.
Torching it. Yo, what's up there, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are once again back in the garage, and you know what that means. It's either going to be modifications or, in this case, repairs. In today's episode, we are going to be working on repairs for my GX. So if you guys recalled my last video, I was working on my inner and outer tie rods because if you guys remembered, I went to the shop and to get my car, my GX aligned, and they pointed out a few things that were wrong with my GX.
If you right in that joint, you can feel it separating. So you do have some inner tie rod play.
Okay.
I would say let's replace that first before doing the alignment.
My tie rods were one of them, and they pointed out several things about my GX that I found out. So if we look down here, this is my cam bolt, and right behind it sits the cam gussets. So these gussets here, if you guys take a look, it flared out. So I'm not sure if a technician was messing with this and it got this all messed up, or if it was my cause where I went off road and caused that gusseter to bend. We're also going to replace the bushings as well. So bushings over here, bushings back on that side, and one thing they told me and why I'm replacing these cam bolts here is because on my passenger side, let's see here. So this cam bolt here is seized. Sleeve in here, it's just rusted out. I did buy my GX from Utah, so I don't know if that's a rust belt state, but my GX does have some surface rust, especially there. But there's some surface rust around the vehicle, nothing too significant, but I would imagine that being the reason why it's rusted is because I got it from Utah. Everything's gonna come out from this whole section here, along with disconnecting the sway bar, the strut, and also the lower ball joint back over here to release this lower control arm. We're gonna get started initially with the cam gussets. These are from Dirt King. They're the alignment cam gussets. All right, guys, so since we're starting on the cam gussets, laid everything out. So these should be the back side of the cam gussets where it goes. Everything's kind of laid out as far as, whoops. Everything is laid out, and then if you take a look, each one has their own, I guess, part number. So I'm going to assume this is going to face the front and this is going to be the back. So they all have different sizes, because you guys can tell, no way to mess this up. This is the larger one. You can look, the opening is much larger in this plate versus that one. So there's that. And then also the cam gussets are here. These are the tabs. You basically place them into these slots here. And then what you want to do next is you flip them over and you get them ready to get welded back over here. So I'll weld these back on for every single one of these, and we'll move on to the next step once we're done welding these up. Okay, so one down and 7 more to go. All right, gang, all the tabs are all welded. Next up is we're going to grab my grinder and grind off the excess that are in these spots. We want to flatten them out. Get yourself a really nice set of flap discs. These are from Diablo, and man, these things, they grind down meat, bare metal. The back plate has been grinded back down to the flat surfaces. What I'm gonna do next is we're gonna go ahead and weld the tabs in on all sides. Cam tabs are all welded. Next up is getting them welded back onto the GX. All right, guys, so the GX is back up on jack stands. Before we get to the lower control arm, we're going to go ahead and remove and disassemble the sway bar first. So these have to come off, one back here and one back on that side over there. And once we're done with that, we can safely lower the KDSS sway bar. This will come down. Once we're done with that, we'll move on to removing the bolts here on the clamp here. Once we get done with this will free up the arm. We'll remove the bolt to the front strut, After that, the lower ball joints here, we'll take those off, and then we'll get to the cam bolts here. I'm starting off with the hard side first because I think this is the side that they had told me that was rusted. So if it is indeed rusted, I want to start with this side so I can get this out of the way. Little update, guys. So I removed the bolts to the sway bar and as well as the clamps. So now that frees this up. I've also removed the bolt to the strut. That's off. Next up is I'm going to remove the bolts to the lower ball joints here to release that. And then that should free up the lower control arm. So hang on for a second. Update on the lower control arm. Well, was able to get this cam bolt here out. This is where it's at. It's got a bit of some rust here, so I'm gonna more than likely get a wire brush and clean this up and put some NSCs onto this bolt here. However, the front one here, this is the one that the shop had trouble with. So this unit here is a sleeve, and it inserts into the lower control arm and then back on over here on this side. This whole sleeve here is completely seized on there. I've been hammering it. I can't get it to come out. It's pretty stubborn, and so I am not gonna waste any more time with this. I'm gonna break out the Sawzall. Lower control arm is out from its spot. One Diablo blade later. It's pretty almost down to the nub with this one, but did the job. So I chopped off the sleeve here for the cam bolt, for the housing, the sleeve. So I had to chop this off. This got chopped off, and then well, the piece that just came off was the other piece that I also sawzalled off. So now we're gonna move on to removing the one to the driver's side, which is pretty much a mirror type of job anyways. I hope that the driver's side isn't rusted, and if it is, then it's gonna be a repeat of that. In case you're wondering how I'm removing the stock OEM bushings, this is the setup here. I'm gonna grab my screwdriver and just press them out, hopefully. So this is the setup, guys. Put my vise in my shop press, vise on the lower control arm. I got the bushings out. And this is only one side, so this is what the aftermath is. It's just destroyed. I had to use my sawzall to saw the inner sleeve here to get this out. And once I got that cut, I used my air chisel to pop that out. So that was fun. Moving on to the other lower control arm now. Torching it. That's what friction does. That's a setup. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and start tapping out those spot welds. You can see there's 3 of them. So 1, 2, and 3. We're gonna go ahead and drill those out, and we'll use my air chisel to chisel this out. One down, 7 more to go. Take a look. All the factory cam tab gussets they've all been air chiseled out. That is the tool. I mean, you can use a punch, but an air chisel, that thing makes life so much more simple. But anyways, these are out. So now we're gonna go ahead and grind the surface area. Hey guys, one more thing to note before I start welding things in. So this is gonna be for the caster side towards the rear of the lower control arm, the cam gussets here. These are the bolts that goes through it. So it goes through the hole here, of course, and you have to make sure that the cam tabs or the eccentric bolts can spin freely within the tabs themselves. So this is the rear, and then the fronts will have the eccentric sleeves here. These are much larger, and this will fit into the larger cam gusset. So it slides in, and again, you have to make sure this thing spins all the way through and rounds 2 different sizes. You have the larger plate here and a smaller plate. Don't mix this up. Don't put the smaller plate into the larger one and the larger one into the smaller plate back over here towards the rear section. I think the front's going to be the camber adjustments, and the ones in the back are the caster adjustments. So these are going to be the camber adjustments. So these cam gussets plates will go right here, and we'll get this sandwich, and then we'll start tacking on the welds to the frame. So at this point, all I'm doing is I'm just lining things up, making sure that everything is lined up exactly where I want it to be before I start welding. Right about there. And then we're gonna grab my clamp right into place. And I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple of spot welds here and just tack it on, keep it on for now, and then we'll take a look again. Make sure everything is even. And once I do, I'm gonna start welding from back over here, bottom here, on the side, and maybe one up on top over here. Before we even start welding, we're gonna go ahead and disconnect the ground. Maybe positive, but we're gonna go to disconnect. We're gonna go ahead and disconnect the battery before we start welding. So it's tacked in. Let's make sure that it slides through, and that it makes sure it also rotates accordingly. That looks to be about right. A quick tip for you guys. When I was welding this up, you can see where I started grinding a lot of the welds back down. I did weld it pretty much the whole entire plate, and I figured, oh, that's gonna be good. The problem is, when you weld it and it gets pretty thick down over here and up over here, when you go back to put your eccentric sleeves in or just a bolt in, what happens is the extra surface you're getting, that actually interferes with your eccentric cam bolts. So what I had to do is, again, grind this all back down to flatten everything out, because look what happens when I rotate this. It rotates pretty much all around those areas where I welded from the bottom and on the top. And so what I think I'm going to do is, luckily this is only one side, I'm going to just weld on to the side, maybe towards the bottom here, this corner, that corner, all over here, and that corner, and also this corner. As far as welding things directly beneath here and on top, I'm going to leave that out because that just took me extra time to grind stuff out. So just a tip for you guys. Current status, guys, everything is done and welded. Cam gussets are all welded in place. Next step is gonna be paint. After paint's all done, lower control arms all come back in, and then we will call this a wrap. Bushings have arrived. Alright guys, so I've already went ahead and I used my shop press to press in all the new Whiteline bushings. They're all pressed in. Next up is we're gonna grab some lubricant. Lubricate the inside of the housings here, put the sleeves in, and once we're done with that, we're gonna go ahead and install the lower control arms back onto the GX. So this one's gonna get fitted right inside here. So I primered, and then also I use flat black. Just the simple things I can use. A few base coats and a few coats of that, and we're done. So all of it's all painted for the cam gussets.
1 week later.
It's been about a week since I've touched these lower control arms. Was on vacation for about a week, and then in that time frame also was waiting for parts, and they finally arrived. So I figured I'm replacing the bushings. I might as well replace the ball joints here as well, since I'm already at it. The ball joints are still good. I'm going to use them as trail spares if anything, but I'll be using new ones to replace them inside here. So let's go ahead and these are the part number if you guys are wondering. These are the 555 lower ball joints. These are Japanese made, so they're definitely high quality. I would only go with this, nothing else, nothing cheap besides that. So ball joints in, I'm gonna go ahead and put in the C-clamp into place. This will keep the ball joint from sliding out. And good to go. All right. So in terms of washers goes, it looks like everything is kind of size specific. So this one goes over here. This next one will go right back over here. They're all basically the same size. This one will go right over here. And then this larger one here will go right back towards the front, right over here. So let's go ahead and start installing the LCAs. Well, given that I had to chop this off, we are going to place some NICs on here just to prevent that from happening again, should I ever have to open this back up again for whatever reasons. Got the LCAs aligned. I'll be honest guys, this was really difficult to do. I didn't catch it on video, but I had to, in order to get this in correctly, you have to put the washers in first into the bushings, and you have to just basically just muscle it into this spot here using a hammer to kind of just help you guide it back into place. So it's there on both sides. We are ready to put the bolts in, the cam bolts in, and then we will torque everything down along with the strap back over here and the lower control arms. Let's slide that back in there. Just to tap that into place.
The next day,
we have completed everything last night, so I went ahead and torqued everything down. The lower ball joints, the bracket here, these were torqued down to 118 foot-pounds. The lower ball joint down over here, this was torqued down to 103 foot-pounds. And then the sway bar brackets here, these were torqued down to 90 foot-pounds. The lower control arm cam bolts were torqued down to 129 foot-pounds. And then the sway bar brackets here, they were torqued down to 48 foot-pounds. And we're done guys. We're gonna go ahead and put the wheels back on, and we're off to the alignment shop for the third time, and let's see if we can get the numbers all dialed up and come along. Let's go over to the alignment shop. All right, so she is back on her feet. Everything is set to go, but before we go to the alignment shop, I want to show you guys how important it is to take your vehicle straight to the alignment shop once you're done. If you guys take a look closely, I don't know if you guys can notice that. Sorry for the glare. My lens is kind of scratched and cracked up, but the tire is cambered and it's on both sides. So if you guys can notice that has to be corrected. Otherwise, if you guys don't, you're gonna have some outer tire wear that's gonna happen if you keep driving it the way it is. So super important, whether it's suspension, whatever you're working on that deals with steering, that has to be done either way. So next stop is alignment shop. All right, Boothy's gonna go ahead and take it for a test drive before he puts it back up on the rack. and he'll come back in a moment. Back on the rack again. And this time we should be A-OK. There's Vuthi, Kyota's in the car.
And it's Dubai though, like really, really.
Vuthi and Kyoto working their magic. Let's get this heavy sucker dialed in and properly aligned.
Same feeling I get when I get in your car. Because when I get in your car, it feels
You
quite
gotta,
different.
you gotta hop in.
Yeah.
Like literally hop in. Check this guy out. 35's on now. Dirty Fives Club.
Well, when you saw what happened to the other tires,
Let's put on. I think it's destroyed.
I really didn't have a choice.
You sure didn't. It's coming up for an alignment too. And Vuthi is backing out the GX, taking it for a drive. Alignment is all done. Alright guys, just are taking a look at the measurements. The GX is all lined up. All thanks to Vuthi and Kyoto over at Alignment Specialty and Repairs. They took their time, took care of my GX. Everything is squared, and we are back on the road. So once again, alright guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. This was quite the episode for me. Got everything all done. Lower control arm bushings, tie rods, they're all done. It's like having a whole front suspension kind of refreshed. But all thanks to these guys for getting my GX back on the road. Until next time guys, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.